Okay, it's 5:30 on Monday, May 15th, and I'm calling the Goldsboro City Council work order session in order. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Mayor Ham.
Present.
Councilwoman Jones.
Here.
Councilwoman Matthews.
Present.
Councilman Gaylor.
Present.
Councilman Batts.
Here.
So you can see we have a couple absences, but we do have a quorum here, so we'll continue. This time we'll adopt the agenda unless there's any additions or changes any council member wants to make. I hear none, so may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay. The agenda is adopted. So the first thing on it is our old business, and we'll get underway with us having United Way come and speak to us about the nonprofit funding program.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I hope you're not getting sick of me. I wanted to return back today for an update and then to share a little information with you. So I believe you have with you the notice of funding opportunity. We created that specific to the City of Goldsboro. That is on our website along with the application for Step 1. And it opened up last Wednesday. It is open through this Friday. And then next Tuesday we'll open Step 2. So Step 1, of course, looks at the criteria or the requirements that would be needed in order to apply for funding. So if you will just join me on page 6, what I wanted to share with you today, and just make sure that there were no concerns or questions for you, is specifically to look at the gray box at the bottom, which outlines the requirements for financials from nonprofits that are applying for funding. What this indicates is under $200,000, we would be looking at budgets less than $200,000 would be looking at tax internal returns and financial statements, but between $200,000 and $500,000 would be either an audit or a CPA review. And then over $500,000 would be an audit for a financial statement. So the difference between this requirement and what you all have done in the past, last year, starting at $200,000, there was a requirement of an audit. So with this, with United Way's funding, starting at $200,000, it will either be an audit or a CPA review. And so the difference there, and this is exactly what United Way, Wayne County will be requiring in the fall when we open up our process too. Just in discussing with our auditors and trying to make sure that we're making, that we've got accountability, but also not putting up so many barriers for our nonprofits, trying to find that gentle balance. And so that's where this came from. So we wanted to just share that with you. And if you had any questions or concerns, to make sure that you had that before proceeding forward.
Council members,
So let me start calling. So under $200,000, they could just do their tax returns or internal financial statements that they're going to have to do anyway. So by law, they're required to submit their 990 or 990 easy, depending on how they're filing. So for those under $200,000, a 990 would satisfy, right?
That's correct. And I believe that's what you all did last year too. That's not different. The difference is the 200 to the 500,000.
Did we do, and this may not be for you, but did we do a notice of funding like we did last year? So all the organizations that applied last year, we sent notice to them that it's back open for them to apply?
I think you did. It's my understanding that you notified those nonprofits that received it last year, and then this year, if you're asking me if we did that, we did that as well. Okay. So anyone that received funding last year, while we opened it up to the general public, we also specifically contacted each individual nonprofit that received funding just to let them know that they were a recipient last year and that it would be opening up.
any other comments, questions? So you're basically asking us to accept this standards for the validating their financial statements.
That's
correct?
right. And if you know of anyone that was not reached, because I emailed specifically the contacts that I had, I would love to know, just in case there's someone that didn't get it. That would be great.
You don't have any other comments or questions? Okay, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the effort you're putting in for this
Thank you.
as well. So that leads us into our MPO funding. And we have discussed this previously, and at our last meeting we talked about one factor that may have some impact on this, and that is our GWTA is requesting an additional $50,000+ this year, up and above what we normally give them. So I think it's appropriate that we try to establish what our dollar figure is at this time. I've had some time to think about this, and hopefully we can make this a matter that we can decide on here this evening, and then the United Way can proceed with that figure. Does anyone have any comment they want to make?
I have
Well,
a suggestion.
I'm sorry.
I said I had a suggestion, but she
Okay.
can.
Go ahead.
I would like to see GWTA give the 50,000. I think it's very important that we be able to accommodate our elderly whenever they're traveling and trying to go to different places, especially medical. They use GWTA quite often, and they also use it for going to their medical appointments, exams. They're very dependent on it. So I think we should try to accommodate GWTA.
Let me back up just a second, please. Say, for the sake of clarifying it to the public, last year we budgeted approximately $160,000, and this year we have not set an amount. But I wanted to bring in the fact that the GWTA had asked for an additional $50,000, so we would take that into consideration in adopting the amount this year. Go ahead, ma'am.
This is just a suggestion to get the conversation going. If we do $100,000 for our nonprofits, if we do the 50, before I say that, are we taking that money from the nonprofit to give to?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So if we do the 50.
Can I clarify, in the 600-page document, the mayor's recommended budget, I took 50,000 and put it additional towards the GWTA, and the nonprofits I gave $100,000.
Okay, perfect. So we're right now at 150. So
Total.
for the 10, this is just a suggestion, okay? If, let's say, assuming we keep that $160,000 budget, I know we talked in great detail about violence prevention and things like that. And if we're planning on doing any programming for the upcoming council, they're probably going to need some money. So I'm thinking if we already have that $160,000 in mind and we do the 50 for GWTA, we'll have that 10 that we could set aside for any type of programs or something that either we come up with before we get ready to get out of here, or definitely that the upcoming board may have something to work with.
Okay, so just to be clear, we haven't gotten to a motion yet, but just to be
Right,
clear,
right.
You're proposing that the nonprofit money is being set aside at $110,000, of which $10,000 of that would be specific to the violence program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's not
Part of the MPO.
Right. Yes. Yes.
What you wanted to clarify is what you're going to let United Way
Well, we
administrate.
haven't gotten to that point yet.
Right.
I guess we're down now to 100,000.
I didn't budget 10,000 for that, but I understand what the councilwoman's saying, so we would have to find that someplace else.
So you just did the 150.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, see, that changes it.
So we need the 100 because
We
we're
just
short.
want to, yeah, what Ms. Archibald wants to know is what will she have to administer?
We haven't approved the budget yet, but the budget,
Correct.
the draft budget has a $50,000 line item for GWTA. And what we're talking about is how much are we going to give United Way? And what I'm understanding from you now is that it's, we would give them, under your suggestion, 100,000. We'd also find another 10,000 for the anti-violence
Yeah.
program. Correct.
But to stay on topic, we can hold the ladder, but I'm suggesting we do the 100,000 for the ambulance.
Clear.
If that's the motion, I second.
Got a motion, second, any discussion?
I mean, I can make it into a motion.
Might
You
as
good?
well.
Are we good like that,
I
Ron?
think you're good when you I suggest and then
Okay.
the way the mayor recognized it.
You wanna do it formally?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, all right. So is there any discussion? All in favor of allocating $100,000 to the United Way for our MPO fund, and please signify by raising your hand. Okay, motion is approved. You have your number now. Okay. All right, and thank you, council, for that. Okay, we got a new business, the Wayne County, North Carolina proposal for detoxification and inpatient center. Go ahead, sir. Introduce yourself to us, please.
Hi there, my name is Dr. Corey Richardson, ICGH Treatment Centers. Am I on the right? Okay. So thank you all for having me today. And I will expedite the talk because usually I talk a little bit longer, and I'll try to make it as brief as possible. And so if I skip over some slides, it's usually because it's a little bit longer. While we provide a lot of health and services for those struggling with community behavioral problems from mental health, we want to talk a little bit today about addiction, the unsheltered population, the justice-involved population, and those who are most needy in our community. So these are some of the services we provide in our other 5 treatment centers, in our, I think, approximately 9 residential programs for free transitional housing, telehealth services, and our pharmacy. And so we provide a lot of these comprehensive services through the Partners MCO in their 14 counties for adults as well as adolescents. But what I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about is the challenge that we have around addiction, our opioid crisis that's been raging now for about 20 years, and now this surging crisis we have around unsheltered persons that is affecting our jail system, our prison system, our DSS system as well. And so we use a 12-step facilitation model. That's a behavioral health intervention as a foundation of that. And we use small group sizes, flexible counseling schedules. We also really do focus a lot on county, state, and federal funding for transportation, free housing, and free medication, as well as an integrated model that includes our own pharmacists, our own toxicologists, our own doctors, our own PAs, our own social workers, our own peer support specialists, our own counselors. This is just an overview of that. When I come to you today, I'm not really coming to you looking for an MPO or NOFA. I'm not coming to you looking for any of those opioid settlement dollars. What we bring is services that are already funded. We have strong federal grants through HRSA and SAMHSA and Partners. If you reach out to Partners, we have very strong funding through UCR, which is treatment dollars and non-treatment dollars. We have around 80 beds that are fully funded through federal and state. Suboxone with counseling, peer support, and all that stuff that we provide is through almost a chess game of funding services because of the high quality care that we've delivered for many years. So when we come into a community, we want to come and partner. Like we were talking to the county commissioners recently. I think it was earlier today, I got a letter from East Point to approve the detox as we go forward. The next state, and I think some of you may know where this location is. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The next part would be building it, making sure that the state met the state criteria, and adding that to the services that we would provide, like the outpatient services, the counseling services, and medication-assisted services. But only through high-quality care have we been able to provide these federal grant dollars to the communities that need it most, those unsheltered persons. Many of our DSS participants determine that they are with child and addicted at the same time, that's a great opportunity. Like justice involved, that's a great opportunity. Like being unsheltered, to help turn their lives around, to get with them at a certain time in their life that's most difficult, so that we can engage them with people that are also going through that process in recovery. So that, let's say recovery housing, those who are on the other side of that, like our peer support specialists, and our licensed providers like our therapists and our doctors. So we have been doing pregnancy services for many years, even when the hospitals weren't. And some of our very first referrals were from local hospitals that were uncomfortable working with pregnancy and addiction around opiates. So when I presented to the governor on his opioid panel in 2018, what I've kind of gone over to you very quickly is this Venn diagram is around a real model of care that's integrated. You see a biopsychosocial and spiritual model, which means medication when needed for co-occurring disorders, for opioid use disorder, evidence-based model for counseling, behavioral health interventions. A lot of the people that come to us have years of trauma as children, sexual abuse, and then because of addiction, they continue to experience trauma out in these encampments. And then there's social interventions. For many years, I teach at Wake Forest, I would talk about the social interventions, but I never had the dollars to take care of it. I never had supportive employment. I never had housing. I never had transportation. We were offering what we call community interventions, but subsequent to that, they started the certification program around peer support. So we were offering people with lived experience to help people who were struggling before there was a certification at UNC. Today, because of the quality of care we've done, and then tirelessly looking for grant dollars, we've been able to provide every one of those, from transportation, peer support, free medication, free housing, and supportive employment. So we partner very well with the state MCO. We partner very well with law enforcement through programs like LEAD, Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. We partner very well with shelters. Our peer support specialists are inside of shelters today in the other part of the state. And we partner well with DSS. Our peer support are literally of no charge to that agency, have peer support specialists that are grant funded that we supervise. So in Gaston County we have in DSS. In Cleveland County we have peer support in DSS. In Cleveland County we have 4 peer support specialists in 2 different detention centers where they are able to meet and talk to people every single day around addiction and that struggle, and then prior to discharge they can get Vivitrol so that if they do get out, they can't use. It's a blocker. It's another medication-assisted treatment. They're a little bit different than Suboxone. We can talk about that if you're interested. So we've been doing this for a long time. Like I said, I teach at Wake Forest. Provider education, most of our grants will fund that, but we've been doing it for free for a long time so that providers know the best practices and not the predatory doctors that got us into the opioid crisis, the pill mills that turned into the Suboxone doctors. Okay, we talk a lot about that when we meet with Patrick McHenry or we meet with the governor. But we've been doing these outreach events since we started around, I think the strong program that we have around opiates is around 2010, although our organization was a very old medical practice that became incorporated in 2006. We have a strong relationship with the faith community because a lot of times when people are struggling, they first go to their pastor. I talked a little bit about our outreach program like Oktoberfest and others where we can talk to the community about what's really going on. And then I do research, and some of the research I've done is within the Physicians Health Program as well as teaching. This is one of our very first recovery homes in Catawba County. This is some of the grant work that we do across rural North Carolina around addressing stigma with addiction. There's not a lot of stigma around diabetes, there's not a lot of stigma around heart disease, but for some reason when somebody has a medical condition like addiction, they let it get so bad that they almost die from it, and then they end up out. But it's a brain disease. It happens between the ears. And so with the right treatment and the right help, you can turn that around and you can reunite families. And people tend to think that somehow because somebody has a brain disease, they're going to make the right decisions. We don't think about that with somebody with a psychotic disorder. We understand that it's not working between the ears, and we don't expect them to fix it on their own. So with the right medical interventions, the right behavioral health interventions, the right environmental interventions, we've been able to truly help people turn their lives around. And that's why I think that our programs have always attracted people in recovery, whether they're a doctor, a therapist, or a peer support specialist. We go out to the encampments with bags like this, with supplies like toilet paper, rescue Narcan, socks, underwear, It does a little good, but more importantly, you can engage somebody exactly where they are. They can start to trust you. You can tell them that you were there. I talked a little bit about that. This was one of the clips from Charlotte today. The morning show asked me to come on there and talk about our work with rural communities. That's a peer support specialist of ours going down to the encampment. When we engage them, that peer support will talk about how he was there many years ago and now he's not. And if they're tired of living like that, they can come into shared recovery housing. Free medication, free counseling, turn their lives around. Some of the people that have started in recovery housing actually have stayed. They pay their own way now. They don't take federal dollars, they don't take state dollars. They stay there because it works for them, and they pay their own way. And you would ask them why? Because at 54, 56 years old, the first time a man has ever had a relationship with his own mother. Why would he change? Because it's working. We do a lot in our federal dollars around lock boxes to safe medication, disposal, rescue Narcan, and other types of harm reduction. But for our organization, harm reduction is not about safe use. I don't care how safe heroin use is, you're not going to get your children back. So harm reduction for us is engaging people, saving lives, but getting them into treatment, and hopefully titrating them off the medication, learning behavioral health interventions, so they go on with life without having to always have a doctor, but sober. So some of our PSA TV ads across rural North Carolina, reducing stigma. This is some of our federal grant dollars towards provider education for doctors and nurses and social workers. A little bit about me, a little bit about a Goldsboro native, Dr. Ramesh Krishnaraj. His dad was a psychiatrist in this community for many, many years. And now he's a physician in this community helping us with our detox. Very excited about Carolina Wellness Centers and our first facility that will be here. First through detox services and hopefully later on through true residential services, offering that to this part of the community, this part of the North Carolina. It seems to not have a lot of services like we provide. And in conclusion, I will take any questions. I know I've probably gone over just a little bit and I want to apologize for that. But this is our family of companies, and we're just very excited to have been welcomed so far by your community. Okay.
Any questions? I have one, but I'll give
Yes, sir.
Yes. Question?
Can you talk to me a little bit about, I saw you had pregnancy flash up there. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So a couple of different things. Sometimes a woman will be out in the community, uninsured. She finds out that she's pregnant, and then we're able to engage with her, get her the assistance that she needs, connect her with other women in recovery, like peer support, give them the counseling, because a lot of times there's a lot of co-occurring disorders like trauma. And if you look at the UNC Mother Study that goes all the way back to 2013, if you even tried to take somebody who's taking opiates, who's pregnant, and titrate them off and detox them off of that, there's a high risk of miscarriage. And so the safest way is to maintain them on some type of medication-assisted treatment up until delivery, because, you know, MAT, getting them to the delivery room, they got a healthy baby. Okay, even if there's a little withdrawal from the child because of the MAT. But it's a healthy baby with no residual negative effects whatsoever. And working with them. Because with the STOP Act now, a lot of times women can be very fearful that if they don't get treatment prior to delivery, they will not be able to leave the hospital with their child. The STOP Act is pretty clear about that. So working with other women. One of the participants in our program was a nurse. She went through delivery with us on medication-assisted treatment. And she also works one-on-one, just talking to people as a citizen in the community about her experiences and how she went through it. So do you have anything more specific about MAT and pregnancy?
No, I got some other legislative law type things running around in my head with the different types of laws surrounding pregnancy and abortion, and but I think I'm just going too far ahead.
Okay.
So
Well, I gave you a blue folder. My information is there. If you ever need to follow up, or I'm always available.
Okay.
So what we try to do is engage people where they are, and for most of those uninsured who do find out that they're pregnant, they do qualify for Medicaid, and we walk them through
Okay,
that
okay.
process.
That-
So we
mhm.
immediately upon pregnancy and indigent, we walk them through that process and make sure they get the care they need. And once they get Medicaid, they can get what's called like partial hospitalization.
Okay.
So that might be classes 5 days a week,
Okay.
and then they can titrate down. They can step down to three days a week, and they can come into our homes,
Okay.
you know, with other women, where they have a lot of oversight from our peer support specialists. But the medication during that time gives you the best chance of a successful delivery, a healthy fetus,
Yeah.
healthy delivery.
That answered some things. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Any other follow-up? Just, you know.
Okay.
Dr. Richardson,
Yes.
you mentioned that you had a location already.
Yes, North Williams Street, and I.
309.
What is it?
It's right across the street from the Chamber of Commerce.
Right
Okay.
across the street.
It's in, I know where it is, the old medical billing building. correct?
That's right.
Okay. And what's your timeline for getting up? and-
So the builders have gone through, and they have some sketches now. They're going to get a final sketch now that we have a letter from East Point, and then they'll be able to present that to the state, so that the state will give approval, because it has a lot of specificity around non-hospital medical detox, and then they'll start construction.
Good, good. So, one other question. You said you spoke with the county.
Yes, sir. That was end of last year when we had just first started.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I assume that you'll have another discussion with them because you'll be interacting with some of their providers for services, I would think.
I think so.
ESH, the Health and Services Office and others.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have a variety of funding streams. So, you know, for those providers who help the most needy, we work through Medicaid and the uninsured through what's the MCO, East Point. But we've also been a very established medical services provider. So we take insurance as well, TRICARE and Blue Cross Blue Shield. So there's a variety. There will be nobody that will be turned away. Sometimes you'll have a provider that only takes insurance, and they don't have any interest in taking the uninsured. And then every now and then you have a provider that only is credentialed with the MCO, but doesn't take any insurance. So we're not that provider, so we don't turn people away.
Okay, so.
Your colleague is coming forward.
I know, I'm trying to find a good introduction, but come on over,
Segue.
Dr. Okay. Yeah, good segue, thank you. I drove up a little bit earlier today, and I have a 1-year-old, I have a 17-month-old and a 3-year-old, so I'm always tired. And I drove 4 hours from Hickory this morning, so
His car looks like my car used to look like about 10 years ago.
lollipops in the back of a Mercedes, all over the place.
Okay.
So go right ahead.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us, Mayor Ham, council members. I recognize if you go. So my name's Dr. Ramesh Krishraj, Dr. K. One of the reasons why we're here is because I'm a local kid. We moved here to Goldsboro in 1979. The last mayor I actually spoke to was Mayor Hal Plunk. So I don't know where Mayor Plunk is, but
Yep.
that was, he came to our house one day and my mom dressed up in a sari. That was a long time ago. Anyway, I just wanted to commend, Corey and I have known each other for a number of years and have worked together, and we've had this vision of being able to grow, and we actually were thinking about doing this out in the western part of the state, where I ended up. I grew up here, went to school in Chapel Hill, and kept going down I-40 till I ended up there in Lenore, up in the mountains. But when the opportunity came back for me to come home to take care of my parents, my dad was at Cherry Hospital for 40 years, and and gave a number of years of service to this community, and really taught me what service means. And so I thought this was a great opportunity. Goldsboro, there's no reason why Goldsboro and Wayne County shouldn't have a lead in, because we were just at the, Jerry Hanna, Jerry can come up here for a second. So, Jerry's also our operations manager, local kid, Eastern Wayne. I don't hold that against him. Country Day, Eastern Wayne. And so, but we're just two local Wayne County kids, that grew up here. And so we just thought, we're sending people to Ahoskie and Wilmington and Fayetteville, Asheville, Virginia. We were at a reentry meeting, or so where were we? We were somewhere in there. I asked to show of hands. I said, where are you sending people? Was that me, right? Yeah, they're, And so I just thought this was, it was really a no-brainer. we're not gonna solve problems, we're not, but for the people we help, we change their world. And so there's no reason why Goldsboro should not be the epicenter of, our delivery model is a little different than most, because, we really are trying to go to where people are, right? We want to go to where people have the need. That's in rural America. It's not high-end detox centers in Raleigh and little granola residential places out in Asheville. Well, nothing against those places, but, the real work is the kind of work that Corey and his staff have been doing. So we have a clinical component, we have a medical component. I'm in recovery myself, so I understand this. We have local connections and partnerships. We know we can't do this alone. We have our 4-day partners, we have multiple partners, we've talked with Sheriff. So there's no reason why we shouldn't have it here to start and to really make Goldsboro a destination for recovery. Honestly, I just don't see why we haven't done it before. We have all the pieces, and there are people here in the community that have been working really hard for a long time to address these issues, but none of us can do it alone. None of us can do it alone. So that's why we're.
Well, I wanted to say, I applaud your coming to Goldsboro, because it is something that's needed here. And we have lots of agencies trying to tackle parts of this program, opioids, homelessness, etc. And your program is not going to solve everything, as you mentioned, Dr. Richardson, but it's an effort here that I think is going to make an impact. And I congratulate you and say appreciate you coming here. I'd like for you to come back a few months down the road once you get started and give us an update on the situation.
I think the city has to do our inspection, so just thought I'd throw that in there. Tim is right there. Mr. Salmon.
Take a good look at it.
Okay, anything else?
Say a couple words real quick?
No,
Yes.
just grateful for the opportunity to be here in Wayne County and for us to be looking at this for the people of this area and for everything east of I-95. So we're thankful and grateful that you took the time to hear our presentation.
Well, East of 95 often gets neglected by a lot of
Always.
politicians
Listen, where we have
and industry, et cetera, et cetera. And anything that can come our way that's going to help us in any facet of our daily lives, be it financial, health, or otherwise, is greatly appreciated.
We purchased another property, the old Renew property, the Guardian Care on 70. And so our goal is to have a, residential treatment campus. So that's, to be a hub, because from that location in William Street is right off of 795, off of 70. That 70 corridor comes down. And between those two areas, we will triangulate Raleigh, Wilmington, Warren City, and the coast. That entire catchment area. There's no reason why Goldsboro, Wayne County, that's epicenter, and the MCO for East Point has 10 counties. Greene County, Lenoir, Jones. I couldn't understand and believe when I first moved back here full time that there was no detox here. People at the base, we take TRICARE. People at the base get sent, I don't know where they get sent.
Wilmington, everywhere.
So we really appreciate the opportunity. We're looking just for community partnerships and support, not money. We invest in people, and we measure our returns in lives saved and families rebuilt.
Thank you, gentlemen. Look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, Mr. Simon, you're going to take us through the recommended budget.
Yes, sir. Speaking of money, we have the 600-page budget here, given to each council member. It'll be out online tonight for the public to take a look at. And I'd like to thank the Finance Department, the Finance Director, all the department heads who are working this weekend on this to finalize it, as well as the support staff. It's a pretty encompassing document and it takes a lot of work, and so many thanks to the staff that made it happen. What we need now is for council to decide when you would like to go over this information. We'll do a presentation for you perhaps next week sometime. I know, Mayor, you were going to try to establish that date. And then, given the presentation that I did 2 weeks ago, if there's any questions on that or some specific items that council would like addressed at this meeting, we can try to put that together on top of the budget presentation.
Okay, council, I spoke with two of our council members who are not here today, and a Friday, preferably the 26th of May, would be good for them. It doesn't have to be on that date, but that's the date that they proposed. I think school is out next, on the 18th, I believe, I was told, for our Mayor Pro Tem, so he could be really available anytime after that date, but he did speak to the 26th. But we need to make it a time that facilitates all of us participating in this. So I'll open up any comment. Councilwoman Jones, you have any issues with?
Okay, it's gonna be one day.
Ma'am?
It's gonna be one day, the 26th.
Yes, hopefully we can do it.
We can do it as much as you would like. The 26th would be a good day to start, or earlier next week. This week, we've got a lot of stuff we're still doing on the finance side. And then the public hearing on this, I believe, is the first Monday in June, the 5th, is it?
5th of June.
What time on the 26th? If anyone else know about the 26th?
That's just a date I
Memorial
put
weekend.
out there.
You know?
Is the 26th satisfactory?
Are you looking,
Early.
what hours? Yeah, what are we
Early.
talking about?
Well, this is a thick document, and
Yeah.
it's going to.
We'll be putting together a slide presentation for you, and then you can ask questions off of that, or take us down any road you want, and we can meet again after that.
What I propose you do, this is just my method of this. I go through the budget and I tab issues that I have a question on. And so, when we flip through this thing, we're not speaking to every line item in there, but we will speak to those items that you have a concern about or a question about. And hopefully we could do it in 3 or 4 hours' time, or even less.
9 o'clock,
9 o'clock on the 26th?
8:30.
Yeah. 9, please.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah, that's
about.
what-
Well, we can
that's
move it
the
up,
holiday
we
weekend,
can
so
move it
that's
up to the
why
19th.
We're gonna do this thing on that Friday.
No.
No, let's,
19th's not good.
because then that means all week I don't want to cram looking at this. I want to take my time. So I think the 26th will be
Yeah,
good.
I'm fine with
Yes,
the 26th.
I
I'm just
just-
doing it
yeah,
like you
I
said.
don't-
Go 8:30.
8:30.
Say
I
what?
think Councilwoman Jones wanted 9 o'clock.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
What'd you say, 12:30?
8:30.
9 o'clock, please, Lord.
9 o'clock on the 26th. We'll meet in the large conference room, is that correct, Ms. Salmon?
And we can do that, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We
Okay,
can gather for breakfast at 8:30.
9 o'clock on the 26th. And I'd really suggest that you go through this thing and tab those issues that you have a question about or want clarification on, because it does make it go a lot quicker. And we'll be talking about the $10,000 to Councilwoman Matthews.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some time here, we've got about 55 minutes. We'll go to the consent agenda and.
Mayor, could I,
Mr. Simon, go ahead and start
Could
us
I
off.
interject for a second? I just want to make sure there weren't any particular topics that any council members wanted us to address.
On the budget, if now's the right time, the enterprise fund, that's in this as well, right?
Yes.
And I know that at last meeting, as you were just kind of giving a couple of different highlights, you discussed the plausibility of different increases at different layers of our organization. I just want to make sure that we're looking at the commercial and industrial rates as well as the individual homeowner rates for water. I can't feel good about doing an increase that doesn't go across the board, especially now that we've had Stantec come. We've spent that time, we've spent that money to come and get a good baseline, get good calculations for what our rates reasonably should be. And I think we need to go ahead and start moving the proverbial can down the road on that one. Even if we're not going to do a total movement to what Stantec recommended for out-of-city industrial, out-of-city commercial, and in-city industrial, and in-city commercial. Going ahead and getting a 2 or 3 year phase in where we can start getting some movement on that. I just don't think it's appropriate to do another increase that focuses on.
This would be
Yeah.
across the board, 4%
Right.
is what's recommended, so if you want to focus more on the capitalized rate
Yeah.
and less on the resident rate, we can take a look at some of those options with
I
our
do, and
hopefully
it's not to
Stantec
say there won't
consultant.
be an adjustment on the base rate. I'm not trying to blow, there will be something, but, Stantec came and did a lot of work for us. And, as unpopular as what I'm saying is gonna be with a certain group of community, we gotta start implementing some of those things.
I agree with that. I was gonna wait and address it on the 26th, but I'm glad you went on and pulled it out.
It's a good point. That's another one of those things that we need to really look at, dive down into the budget, what's proposed, and look at how, what Councilman Gaylor has talked about and how that might be applied.
I'll see if I can get our Stantec consultant to attend on the 26th.
And Mr. Salmon as well, we have contracts for water supplies with some other communities, with some other companies. I'm not talking about breaking those contracts. I'm talking about honoring those commitments, but any new commitments or anything that's not, I think we need to start working towards what Stantec has already advised us to be the right rate. So thank you for that report.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so on to the consent agenda items. We've got the annual action plan by the Community Relations and Development Director, Ms. Felicia Williams.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening.
Good evening.
Not there. I don't have a good evening. It should be. Okay, it doesn't look like it's there. I'm sorry. Okay. It won't flip at all now. Sorry. Sorry. He's in there.
Pushing it the right way?
Okay. If I have a lot to read, I can certainly proceed. So I'm here with the fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan and recommended budget. City Council action is needed to accept the FY 23-24 allocation of funds by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development from the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program. In addition, City Council must approve the FY 23-24 annual action plan and budget recommendations in preparation for HUD's submission deadline on today, May 15th. HUD has awarded $361,561 in CDBG and $293,636 in home funds to the City of Goldsboro for use to develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing, suitable living environment, and expanding economic opportunities, mainly for persons of low to moderate income. Additionally, the city will have available approximately $949,357 in prior year CDBG funds dating back to 2016, $1,131,813 in prior year home funds dating back to 2017, and $294,923 in prior year CDBG CV funds dating back to 2020. The prior balances are as of May 4th, 2023. Community Relations and Development Department staff have properly executed the city citizen participation plan by successfully noticing and facilitating one public meeting held on April 11, 2023 during the regular meeting of the Commission on Community Relations and Development, one public hearing held on May 1st, 2023 during the regular meeting of the Goldsboro City Council, and provided a 30-day comment period of the draft plan from April 14, 2023 to May 13, 2023. The 23-24 annual action plan is the fourth year of implementing the 5-year consolidated plan for 2020-2024. A summary of the 23-24 annual action plan proposed activities and use of funds will be presented to you now. Accomplishments will be reported in the annual caper. Let's see if it's here. Okay, it's not there. My apologies. So you have before you your agenda packet, proposed budget for the 23-24 annual action plan. For homebuyer assistance, has been allocated $70,000 of current year home funds and $70,000 of prior year home funds to provide direct subsidy assistance to low to moderate income individuals and families to become home buyers and increase the supply of affordable housing for a total of $140,000. These funds will provide at least 14 home buyers with up to $10,000 for down payment assistance and closing costs, consistent with Regulation 24 CFR 570.201, letter N. Demolition and clearance has been allocated $108,468 of current year CDBG funds to eliminate slum and blighted areas, consistent with Regulation 24 CFR 570.201D. Public facilities and improvements have been allocated $60,518 of CDBG CV and $288,415 in prior year CDBG funds for a total of $348,933 to support public facility improvements for homeless, elderly, and other low to moderate income citizens, in addition to assistance with drainage issues, repairing sidewalks, attending to water, sewer lines, and other eligible public facility improvements. Additionally, $180,000 has been allocated of CDBG CV to support the installation of outdoor broadband installation in a low to moderate income neighborhood. Public services has been allocated $54,234 of current year CDBG funds, consistent with the 15% maximum CDBG allowance to strengthen communities by addressing the needs of specific citizens through funding projects or programs provided by nonprofit organizations or for-profit corporations that meet CDBG program national objectives as identified by HUD and low to moderate income residents of the city, consistent with Regulation 24 CFR 570.201E. Community Housing Development Organizations or CHODO reserve has been allocated $44,004 of current year home funds, consistent with the 15% maximum home allowance to projects that are owned, developed, or sponsored by a nonprofit that qualifies as a CHODO, as defined at 24 CFR 92.2. Types of development activities include projects that involve acquisition, rehabilitation, and or construction of housing for sale or rent to low to moderate income families. Program administration has been allocated funds of $72,312 of CDBG, consistent with the 20% maximum CDBG allowance, $29,336 of home, consistent with the 10% maximum home allowance, $54,405 of CDBG CV, which is the remainder of the CDBG administrative CV allowance, and $45,396 of home ARP, which is the 5% of the 15% allowed from HUD for home ARP admin, for a total of $201,449. These administrative costs are necessary for program planning and management of the CDBG and home programs or activities. These costs include staff salary, benefits, training, and consultants engaged in planning and program support. Homeowner rehabilitation has been allocated $126,547 of current year CDBG program funds and $233,453 of CDBG prior year funds, for a total of $360,000 to assist eligible low to moderate income owner-occupied property owners in repairing substandard housing consistent with 24 CFR 570. Affordable housing has been allocated $150,296 of current year home funds and $1,061,813 of prior year home funds, for a total of $1,212,109. $1,212,109 to support construction or rehabilitation of single or multifamily homes
for purchase or rent by low to moderate income citizens, consistent with 24 CFR 92.250 to 92.258. And lastly, undesignated represents the remaining CDBG prior year funds in the amount of $427,489 that will be used for other eligible activities that will be determined based on need, consistent with CDB regulations at 24 CFR 570.210, 200 to 210. Are there any questions?
Does the council understand what she's just presented? Okay. Okay, any questions?
And so, Mayor, thank you for, staff is asking that by motion, the council accept the 23-24 allocation of funds by HUD from CDBG and home programs, and to one, approve the FY 23-23 annual action plan and budget recommendations presented during your regular council meeting of May 15, 2023, in preparation of HUD submission deadline on May 15, 2023, and to authorize the mayor and staff to execute and file the annual action plan along with required certifications, the SF 424, and grant agreements that are required to receive CDBG and home funding for on behalf of the city of Goldsboro, and to make necessary changes to those documents where required by HUD. Thank you.
Ready for the next one, sir? Okay. Amending the ordinance, chapter 98. Ms. Getz.
Good afternoon, council. I have amended chapter 98, streets and sidewalks of the City of Goldsboro's Code of Ordinances. The City of Goldsboro recognizes the need to maintain correct descriptions of city policies. The section of the City Code of Ordinances related to parades was last updated in November of 2017. After a review of chapter 98, section 98.80 needs to be revised to reflect the updated parade and special event policy, which was approved by council at the meeting on May 1st, 2023. It is recommended that council adopt the attached ordinance amending chapter 98 of the city's Code of Ordinances. That's a basic change of just the time. So originally it said no parades or special events or parts thereof may be conducted on the streets of the city between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. except on holidays and weekends. The revision says now parades, special events, or parts thereof may be conducted on the streets of the city no earlier than 9 and end no later than 10 unless approved by the Goldsboro City Council. So that makes us in line with the policy just adopted.
Any questions? Okay.
And the second item I have is amending chapter 117, push cart and mobile food unit vendors of the City of Goldsboro's Code of Ordinances. The City of Goldsboro recognizes the need to maintain correct descriptions of the code. Sections of the City Code of Ordinances related to push carts and mobile food units were revised in March of 2007. Planning staff are revising the current application to clarify the requirements in the Code of Ordinances and to make the application user-friendly. After a review of Chapter 117, City staff recommend revising the coverage area in Section 117.01 from the Central Business District to the city limits, removing the $500 bond or security deposit required in Section 117.04, revising the language that push carts or mobile food units are not to be located within 100 feet of any current established restaurant instead of 50 feet, adding language to specify distance from push carts or mobile food units to the right-of-way, private property, utility boxes, utility vaults, handicapped ramps, emergency call boxes, and fire hydrants. The update also corrects an administrative error in the code from the words N to F. It is recommended that council adopt the attached ordinance amending Chapter 117 push cart and mobile food unit vendors of the City of Goldsboro's Code of Ordinances.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any exemption if it's like a special event?
So part of the code that's updated does say,
Is that in the red part at the very bottom? I just want to make sure I'm
Well,
clear about it.
E, in 117.04, letter E,
Okay, I
it
see.
talks about this shall not apply to special events approved by the
Okay.
city, which is the no mobile food unit shall be located within 100 feet of any other legally established push cart or mobile vendor unit, mobile food unit. And
That's what we
does not-
added, the red part.
And we added it doesn't apply to any special event. So if we wanted to have a food rodeo or a downtown Center Street jam, that would allow them to be within 100 feet of each other.
So I hope this isn't a ridiculous question, but what about those restaurants possibly that have push carts for their businesses? Like, and they just wanted to go outside in front of their establishment instead of working inside the shop that day. How would that affect them?
I would think that would be okay. I don't know if that exists, but the idea
It
is.
does.
Where does that exist?
But that language need to be put in here?
Maybe we could add something. What do you think, Matt?
I think we probably
Can
should.
come
I
up.
think the businesses that already have existing restaurants would be subject to a different determination with something like that, because they could operate something outside of their business within 100 feet. So I think we'd probably be, the reason for the separation is to kind of keep the competition so much from right there. But if they're going to be doing it, then I think it would be okay. So I think we do need to look at that change there.
We could add it.
Is that something we could just add to the ordinance, update that part of the ordinance?
We could add it, and however the language wants, and have it for tonight. And that would be an exception for existing businesses to have food cart or mobile vendor outside their business, as part of their business model.
In front of their storefront kind of thing?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Would it be restricted to in the footprint, not footprint, but in front of the business specifically?
Yeah, I think once they start going outside of their property lines, or outside of the right-of-way, you know, then it would be a different situation.
Yeah.
So procedurally, should I make a motion to amend the agenda by removing item G from the consent agenda?
We can bring it back to you with the change.
Would that be the appropriate course of
That's what
action?
council would like to do.
Yeah, because they've got it on to approval as written.
Right.
And so for it to be changed, then it would be taken off from that additional language, put back in there, that way that's been agreed upon, and how that verbiage comes out, not suggestion.
Then, can I inject, that's a privilege motion, right? So, Mayor Ham, I move we amend the agenda by striking item G under the consent agenda item from the agenda of the day. So correctly said.
Got motions made to remove item G under the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Okay, item G is removed from the consent agenda.
With the intent to bring it back with the change.
Any comments on the departmental reports? Any other discussion? If not, it's 6:28. We will recess until 7 o'clock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Goldsboro City Council regular meeting for Monday, May 15th. And politicking can cease at this time.
No, he didn't.
Did nothing personal. That was a joke there.
He ain't here.
Okay, so again, welcome to our business meeting. I don't believe Pastor Norris is present. I don't see him. So I'm going to ask Councilwoman Jones to say our invocation, and then following that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. For stand, please.
Let us all take a deep breath. We've had a busy, long day. Heavenly Father, we come before you as humbly as we know how. Thanking you for providing safety and wisdom for every generation that is represented here. You said in your word that the earth is yours and the fullness thereof, so that means that this city belongs to you. And Father, we asked you for wisdom. In James, you said those that like wisdom asked. And so, Father, we as this council collectively are asking you for your wisdom and your guidance as we govern and take care of the needs, the necessary needs of this city. And we thank you, Lord, that you have allowed us to work together in unity, to disagree agreeably. And Father, we thank you for that. And we continue to ask you for wisdom on our budget, on everything that we plan for this city. We asked for your wisdom. Amen.
Amen. John, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll, please.
Mayor Ham,
Present.
Councilwoman Jones,
Present.
Councilwoman Matthews,
Present.
Councilman Gaylor,
Present.
Councilman Batts.
Okay, we have 2 members absent, but we do have a quorum, so we'll continue. Before I go further, I would like to announce that if you're here to speak in the public comment period, you must sign in. The sign-in roster is over by the officer on that table. Must be signed in before you speak. Okay, at this time we'll move to the approval of minutes for the work session and the regular meeting of May 1st, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the minutes, or is there a suggested change or whatever?
I would ask a suggestive change on line 5 in the minutes under my comments where it says pass cards. It should say placard cards.
Okay. So there's a correction of one word
I
there.
asked the council, would you please allow that change?
Any objections to the change?
I said it so many times at the last council meeting. I probably, my southern drawl probably, I said placard cards.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended with the changing of the word that Councilwoman Jones spoke to? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There's no discussion. All in favor of approving the minutes as prepared, signify by raising your hand. Okay, the minutes are approved as amended. Okay, we have some presentations. Started off with employee performance awards, and our city manager, Mr. Salmon, will present the award.
Yes, sir. My pleasure to present the Employee of the Quarter Award for third quarter fiscal year 22-23 has been awarded to Tara Johnson from the Public Works Department for outstanding achievement. Tara is always available to help everyone, from City of Goldsboro employees, no matter their job title, to the residents she talks to on a daily basis. Tara is very well versed in all divisions of Public Works and answers all types of questions on a variety of topics. She is consistent every day, no matter the stress we are all under, and is an absolute asset to the city. Tara has been with Public Works for over 10 years. She has always been the frontline person to speak to all customers, in person or on the phone. She is the main contact for all Public Works phone calls. Tara is well known by most vendors for Public Works and is always available to answer their wide variety of questions. She handles everyone in a friendly and tactful manner. Tara goes above and beyond her expected job duties. She is the coordinator for all Public Works activities, including retirement parties, our annual Christmas party, and other fundraising events. Tara always coordinates with other city employees that need to use the break room for city events, such as blood drives or classes for staff. While completing her work duties, she also attends online school, ECU, to complete her degree in business management, and is a great mom and spouse too. Tara is a great friend to all who know her and is very sincere and caring person. Tara's exceptional customer service and employee service reflect well on herself and the city of Goldsboro. So Tara, we'd like to present this to you. You can come on up. Awesome. Can we get Rick up here too? Why don't you come on in the center here? Mary, do you want to join us?
Yep.
There you go. We'll take a little picture here, and then we'll let Rick say a few things and yourself, okay? Congratulations, Rick.
The write-up said it all. If I had 2 words to describe Tara, she's passionate, very passionate about everything she does, and she cares about everyone she deals with every day in and day out. An asset to the department, that's an understatement. She just cares, and she's passionate, and that's all I have to really say about her. So, if you want to say anything.
Would you like your family up for a picture?
Julie, do you want to come? Since you did the write-up, she did a great job. That was,
Thank you, Julie, for a phenomenal. I appreciate it. I look for all the years.
Rick, come on back, Rick. Come on back. Get a larger picture.
she probably wants to leave one without me.
I better.
She'll have that, she said.
I'll send it to her. Look this way, Mr. Harry. Are you in the picture?
All right, the supervisor of the quarter goes to Rick Davis for his outstanding achievement. Rick Davis responded to a cross-contaminant issue with a caustic soda chemical delivery at the water treatment plant on February 6, 2023. Due to his quick thinking, he was able to save the city money, time, and frustration. When the regular shipment of sodium hydroxide, caustic soda, was being pumped into the bulk tank, the hose became clogged. Rick inspected the problem and directed his staff to disassemble all the piping to the bulk tank and to flush out the system and the bulk tank. Everything left in the chemical tank was sent to the water treatment plant mud basins to isolate it from the rest of the plant and avoid any contaminants from reaching the drinking water. The first flush produced evidence of tank contamination, so staff continued to flush the bulk tank until all contaminants had been removed. Due to Rick's swift response and supervision, there was limited estimated loss of $200 of diluted caustic soda and approximately 5,000 gallons of water to flush the system. If this contaminated chemical would have introduced into the distribution system, a significant amount of damage to the system as well as monetary loss could have occurred. Rick's professionalism, integrity, and customer focus helped stop a bad situation from becoming worse. Rick's outstanding efforts reflected well on himself and the city of Goldsboro. Rick is an amazing asset down there, and why don't you come on up, Rick, and accept this award. And Richard Hamilton is there. Bert Sherman couldn't be here today, as you know, so we've got...
He's on vacation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You gotta say something,
Richard was going to say something here.
I'll let him talk first.
Okay.
I just want to say on behalf of Robert Sherman, myself, how appreciated you are. You know what you do. You know we appreciate you, man, and thank you so much for everything you do for us as a whole utility, man. You are greatly appreciated. You are very good at what you do. Very
Thank
good
you.
at what you do.
And I appreciate this, but most of this effort is to my staff. I have a wonderful staff, and they're very good at what they do as well. So.
Thank you. All right, sir, that's that for the week.
Next presentation is to the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni Friends, and Councilwoman Matthews will read this and present it. I believe Mr. Packer is here. Mr. Packer, come on down, sir.
Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated Proclamation. Whereas Dillard High School in Goldsboro, North Carolina was the outgrowth of a private school founded in 1866 for black students and has a rich history of providing education to the black community. And whereas the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated is a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving the legacy of Dillard High School and Goldsboro High School and providing educational opportunities for students in the community. And whereas the National Scholarship Committee of the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated is responsible for selecting recipients and awarding scholarships to high school students in the community, providing them with the opportunity to pursue higher education and achieve their goals. And whereas the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated is hosting a Memorial Day weekend celebration from Thursday, May 25th, 2023 to Sunday, May 28, 2023 to honor the history and achievements of Dillard High School and Goldsboro High School alumni. Now therefore be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim our support for the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated and their efforts to preserve the history and legacy of Dillard High School and Goldsboro High School. We commend their commitment to providing educational opportunities for students in the community and recognize their contributions to the betterment of our city. We urge all citizens to join in celebrating the Memorial Day weekend 2023 and to support the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated in their endeavors to empower the next generation of leaders through education. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and affix the seal of the City of Goldsboro, this the 15th day of May 2023.
Okay.
I would just like to thank the City of Goldsboro, the Mayor, all the City Council members for your support of what we have been doing for over 68 years. And we look forward to having you to participate with us in some of our events. I know the Mayor will be there on Thursday as one of the speakers at the awards night. But we encourage you, if you want to be a participant in our parade, to send me a message, because I have to get an application in so we can position you in the parade, and we look forward to it. And again, I say thank you for for all of the efforts that y'all have done. I didn't see Amanda here, but I did see the sign on 70 coming into Goldsboro right at the county line that's already up, welcoming the Dillard Goldsboro alumni friends to the city of Goldsboro. And again, we thank you for
And the
your
weather should be good too.
Yes, you know, it has never rained on us. So we're not going to say, yeah, rain, sleet, or snow, we're still out there.
Thank you, Jack. Our next presentation is the GWTA Appreciation Month Proclamation, and Councilwoman Jones will present that.
It is an honor to read this proclamation, GWTA Appreciation Month Proclamation. Whereas GWTA was created on October 5th, 1998 by the City of Goldsboro and the County of Wayne as the Goldsboro-Wayne Transportation Authority, and whereas the Public Transportation Authority has been referred to by several names since its inception, including WAIT, Wait, Gateway, and most recently GWTA. And whereas GWTA has a long-standing tradition of meeting the transportation needs of the citizens of the City of Goldsboro, and whereas North Carolina Public Transportation Association, NCPTA, is an association of the 96 city, county, regional, and nonprofit transit system and is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. And whereas NCPTA has just been recognized as the National Transportation Association of the Year, and whereas North Carolina Public Transportation Association, NCPTA, has awarded the Transit System of the Year award to GWTA at the annual state conference in Concord, North Carolina on April 18, 2023. And whereas the Goldsboro City Council is proud of the recognition bestowed upon GWTA. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim May 2023 as GWTA Appreciation Month, and further extends appreciation to the staff for providing safe, reliable, and affordable public transportation services to the citizens of the City of Goldsboro. In witness, I have hitherto set my hand and affixed seal on the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this 15th day of May 2023. Mayor Ham.
Mr. Willis, come on up.
Come on, Don, come on down.
He's gonna pull them all up.
I assume just as some people that make this possible.
Just a few of the people that make it possible. That's right.
I want to thank y'all for all you do. I know I read the proclamation, but I ride on I'll ride on the transit. And I thank you for the kindness that you show our citizens when they get on the bus and all the other things that you're doing. Thank you. You got everybody? Where, can you see you? Come on over here.
Let me say something before you guys leave. We all know how indispensable this bus transportation is to our community. Not only does it service Goldsboro, but it serves some county areas as well. And there are many people here who depend on that as their life support system in terms of getting to medical appointments and grocery stores and otherwise. So we appreciate all of you that participate in this. Make it happen. Make Goldsboro a better place to live for those that need this service. And thank you very much. I'm not going to shake hands with everybody, but I do want to thank you individually. You
I know you got you. I know you had.
I just want to thank City Council for recognizing GWTA. This has been a long time coming for this team, this family here. Everyone has been together, I think, for a long time. And one of my favorite quotes, there's a lot of love here for this community and for the people that we serve. And one of my favorite quotes is that whatsoever is done in love is done well and accomplishes much. There's a lot that gets accomplished every single day in our community because of the hard work of our team, and just a few are here. And I cannot thank you enough for recognizing their efforts.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, at this time we'll go into our public comment period. We allocate 30 minutes for public comment, and each speaker has 3 minutes to speak. Our clerk has a list of individuals who've signed up. She'll call you, and when your name is called, come up forward and speak. Pay attention to the monitors because it will have your 3-minute time there, and when you get down to 30 seconds, you'll hear a beep. And at the end of your 3 minutes allocation, you'll hear 2 more beeps, and I ask you to kindly complete your speaking. Okay, Madam Clerk.
The first name is Phyllis Merritt James.
Good evening, Ms. James.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members.
Oh, hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Phyllis Merritt James, and I stand before you to talk about National Nurses Week, which was celebrated this past week. Why is Nurses Week May 6th through 12th? According to the American Nurses Association, National Nurses Week begins each year on May 6th and ends on May 12th, Florence Nightingale's birthday. In the second week of May, National Nurses Week gives communities, employers, and individuals the opportunity to thank nurses and the nursing profession for all that they do. It is celebrated each year to honor nurses and the vital role they play in ensuring our health and prosperity. Our 2023 theme is Our Nurses, Our Future. I do realize that we share the same week with teachers, and I commend them as all of us have an impact on children and adults alike. As nurses, we focus holistically on the individual, family, and communities, including but not limited to their physical, mental, as well as emotional health. I wanted to suggest that our City Council proclaims the second week of May Nurses Week for Goldsboro as well. I was pleasantly surprised to share a connecting flight and row with a gentleman by the name of Blair Underwood, who wrote a note stating, "Happy Nurses Week and thank you for all you do." Surely if someone from Hollywood can recognize us, our home definitely can. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to ask the council to make a motion. Someone make a motion that we recognize second week of May as Nurses Week.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
In discussion. All in favor of recognizing the second week of May as National Nurses Week, signify by raising your hand.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm a teacher.
Okay, very good. Yes, ma'am.
The next name is Douglas Horn Jr.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'd say good evening to the City Council, City Manager. I'm here, very late, quite honestly, to say thank you. Last year I had a problem regarding Memorial Day weekend celebrations with Dillard alumni, and I came before this council, and you all gave me a solution, which was very successful. Now, and I should have been here before now, but I'm here now to say thank you to the council and to the city manager.
That's it?
Well, thank you.
Very good, sir. It's nice to hear thank you once in a while. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, that ends we have no further persons to speak, so I'm going to close the public comment period, and we'll move to consent agenda items.
Sir, consent agenda item E, F, and H are presented for council approval.
Okay, Council, you've heard the presentations on the consent agenda items E, F, and H. Is there a motion to adopt them?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Ham?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matthews? Councilman Gaylor?
Yes.
Councilman Batts?
Okay, the consent agenda items is approved. We will address the one that was removed at the next meeting. Next item is items requiring individual action. We have none, so we'll move to item number 9, the city manager's report.
So I'd like to remind everybody that the system development fee study 45-day public comment period ends May 27th. So if you have some comments on that, please include them. Air show at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base this weekend. And then obviously we've got the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Parade and events next weekend on the Memorial Day weekend. And the city offices will be closed that Monday, 29th.
That's it.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, good. Moving right along. We have a few more ceremonial documents, and I'm going to ask Councilwoman Jones to present the Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month proclamation.
It is my honor to read the proclamation of the Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month. Whereas Tourette syndrome is an inherited neurological disorder that is characterized by involuntary physical and vocal tics that occur many times a day. And whereas Tourette syndrome is often accompanied by other mental health disorders such as attention deficit, obsessive compulsion disorder, learning disabilities, anxiety, and whereas Tourette syndrome and tic disorders affect in 1 in 100 children. More than 23,000 school-aged children in the state of North Carolina alone are dealing with Tourette syndrome. And although some of those cases are aided by medication, there is no standard treatment or known cure for the disorder. And whereas there is an important need for more professional help and interest and expertise to identify, counsel, and treat people with Tourette syndrome, a disorder that is often misdiagnosed and misunderstood. And whereas positive actions to assist children and families living with Tourette should result in a broadening of public and professional knowledge and acceptance of Tourette syndrome. And whereas the Tourette Association of America is actively providing services to families, educating medical professionals and teachers, and supporting research to better understand the signs and treatments of Tourette syndrome. Now therefore be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim May 15th through June 15th, 2023 as Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, and June 4th, 2023 as Tourette Syndrome Awareness Day in the city of Goldsboro as a special day to promote understanding, compassion, and acceptance for all the fellow citizens who deserve and need our support to break the stigma that surrounds Tourette syndrome. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the city of Goldsboro this day, 15th day of May 2023. Dave Ham, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We have another one, our Peace Officer Memorial Day proclamation, and Councilmember Batts will read this one.
Peace Officer Memorial Day proclamation. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day and the week in which May the 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the member of the law enforcement agent of the city of Goldsboro played an essential role in safeguarding the right and freedom of the citizen of Goldsboro. Whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, sacrifice of their law enforcement agents. Whereas members of the Goldsboro Police Department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder,
in protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women law enforcement agents of the city of Goldsboro unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim the week of May the 14th through May the 20th, 2023 as Police Week, and May 15th, 2023 as Peace Officer Memorial Day, in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courage deed, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survival of our fallen heroes. I further call upon all citizens of the city of Goldsboro and all patrons and civics and education organizations to observe this time with appropriate ceremony in which everyone may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their community, and in so doing have established for themselves an invaluable and enduring reputation for preserving the right and security for all citizens. And witness, therefore, I have hereunto set my hands and affix the seal of the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this 15th day of May, 2023.
Thank you, Councilman Batts. I want to read the Armed Forces Day proclamation. Whereas our continued freedoms are possible due to the service and sacrifices made by our military personnel and their families, and whereas the third Saturday in May has been declared to be Armed Forces Day, and whereas military supporting non-profit organizations and volunteers and veteran service organizations, both public and private, are encouraged to demonstrate esprit de corps as they work together to show their appreciation for our military personnel. And now therefore it be resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim our support on May 2023 for Armed Forces Day, and fully recognize the brave service and many sacrifices made by our active duty service members, those who serve before them, and their family members. Furthermore, we recognize the volunteers and nonprofit organizations and businesses who band together to demonstrate their appreciation on that day. And witness, therefore, whereof I have hereto set my hand and fixed the seal of the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this 15th day of May 2023. And we have one final proclamation, and I'll ask Councilmember Gaylor to read it, Building Safety Month proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Building Safety Month proclamation. Whereas Goldsboro is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential role our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry, whose work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as earthquakes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas It Starts With You is the theme for Building Safety Month 2023 and encourages us all to raise awareness about building safely on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as Building Safety Month, and further extend appreciation to all safety and code officials and all those in the construction industry, and encourage all citizens to join us as we participate in Building Safety Month activities. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this the 15th day of May, 2023.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, there's no more ceremonial documents to read. We'll ask if the council members have any comments they'd like to make, and I'll start with Councilman Batts. Go ahead.
It's a day late, but I don't think it's too late. Happy Mother's Day to all of those who were, wish they were, hope to be one day those mothers that are the cornerstones of our homes, our communities, and our families. So happy Mother's Day, even a day late.
Councilwoman.
No comment.
Ms. Jones.
Yes, I would like to say congratulations to our young citizens that will be graduating from kindergarten and middle school. Congratulations. It's been a hard year, and I know that the high school haven't graduated yet, but congratulations to you too. Looking forward to what you're going to become in this community. I would also like to say, as we approach the holiday, and there are going to be several activities and events, I ask that you be careful, be safe, be watchful, and if you see something, say something.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Our manager mentioned the air show coming up this weekend, and I wanted to just add a couple of comments. This is a big event for Goldsboro. There are thousands of people that come here Saturday and Sunday. And we put on our best face for those individuals. The Seymour Johnson Air Force Base means so much to this city and to the people that live here. The families that come here with the airmen and those that don't have families, who have family members visit them, come to Goldsboro, and I hear so many good comments about Goldsboro. I was walking down the street the other day, and I saw this. I was walking back to City Hall about midway block down the street, and there was this lady had the trunk of a car raised, and it looked like there was a lot of personal things in there. It's packed full. And I said, "Excuse me, are you new to the city?" She said, "Yeah, I'm moving here." I said, "Good. Let me welcome you to the city." And we got in a conversation. Her husband was sitting up in the driver's seat, and she was looking for something, and I said, "Can I help you?" And she said, "Well, I'm looking for the water department. I want to turn my water on." And I said, "Well, it's just about half a block down the street here." She said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "They told me it was out near LaGrange." And I said, "Where are you moving to?" She said, "LaGrange." But I was trying to be helpful, you know. And so I gave her the official welcome to the city, and asked her to, take her time, come back, do some shopping, come back and visit with us, told her about the air show and so forth. But, we have people coming in here, moving here. So, it's a pleasure to, and I asked her, I said, "Where do you come from?" She said, "Iowa." I said, why did you come here?" She said, "Yeah, I just wanted to get out of the snow and come down to a warmer climate and so forth." I said, "You don't have family here? You don't have any relatives in there at Seymour Johnson?" She said, "No, we just picked this out, a place to come and live." I said, "Good." And I gave her my card and I told her, if I could do anything for her to call me. But, we have, this is a friendly town. And we're always trying to work to try to make it more friendly and so forth. And so anyway, that leads me to my next comment here. I'll try not to be too long because I'm trying to be out of here early today. But from time to time, especially like tonight, you see us up here, we acknowledging appreciation to individuals and groups and professions and so forth. We do that on purpose. We do it to show our appreciation for the service that they render to individuals and to groups and to our city. We cannot overlook what these individuals and groups do that makes Goldsboro a better place. I think I speak for all the members of this council that when we have an opportunity to show our appreciation, we want to do it, and we feel good about it. So it's always appreciated. And one other thing too, when we start talking about not acknowledging things, we also acknowledge a lot of special events like the air show and Armed Forces Day and Teachers Day and so forth and so on. We do that because if we don't do it, the public has a tendency to forget about it. If you're not directly involved in one of those professions or that event or whatever, you probably don't know about it or you don't take time to think about it. So it's our responsibility to not let that go unnoticed. It may sound a little repetitious and boring to some people, but I think it's incumbent upon us to keep ourselves appraised of what's going on in the public. So bear with us. We're going to keep doing it, okay? All right, council, is there any other comments anyone wants to make? If not, it's 7:41, meeting adjourned.